Okay, so we had some really good reviews on the pullback trading guide. So what I decided to do today is kind of just go over it with you guys here and kind of to show you guys like in depth, explain kind of what the course is, and then yeah, see some examples in practice that are not the same examples that are on the actual course video, which will be linked down below, and on the actual course that you can download, which also will be linked down below. So essentially, what is pullback trading? Well, it's when the price is going in one direction and it has a pullback where it goes and kind of retests the previous order block, and just continues in its direction. So it's kind of the most simple way of trading with great risk to reward trades. And yeah, overall, just a very simple way of trading that you can actually learn very quickly, and you can combine different techniques within. So you could use something like, which is kind of complex, but I think I'll make a third video on this course in which I overlay different things like Fibonacci sequences or moving averages onto this technique, and you can kind of see how many layers there really are that you can add onto the pullback trading technique, essentially. So this is the course, and we enter. So here you can see there is a downtrend. You can also read with me here. I'm not going to read it out, but I'm just going to explain kind of what's going on these videos or on these pictures. So we have a strong downtrend, after which this high is kind of like solidifying the trend. And here you can see a break of structure essentially coming through, which then turns into a change of character. So now the bearishness here turns into a bullishness due to the fact that this previous kind of pivot point that solidifies the current structure is broken. So now what we can do is we can start looking for what a good order block might be to put a long and see if the direction changes, with a stop loss that would always be under this low. So or under the order block low that we pick. So let's say you pick this order block or this order block. They're both solid order blocks, and you can kind of select the order block by it being the last down move before the up move, or the last major down move before the up move. So some might say this is the order block. So from right here to right here would be an order block. Some might say this tinier one or this one right here. So I went down to I am presuming it continued, so that we never retest any of these order blocks. So you can see this is where we left off, right here, right? So this is right here, and that is right here. So I guess price never really pulled back to these order blocks, and this seems like a very solid order block. It's a major down move before the up move continued. So this is the order block in which I would say on the higher time frame, now that we're a few days further, because it's on the 1 hour chart, so you're gonna see very far down the line, you'll see how far we are. So this is on the 4 hour chart, so this was on the hourly. And then here you can see that here I see that the price action corresponds to what is displayed on the left side, right? So you can see that this last down move before the up move on the 4 hours is this really thick candle, which it seems like very weak here. So that's why I chose that. Now again, I'll be doing an entire separate video, as you can see, releasing a full free guide on order blocks soon, in which I will go over exactly how I select order blocks, or how you can select the best order blocks for your trades. That one is coming out soon too, so just keep an eye out for that. It currently is not out yet, and but it will be in the next few weeks, right after this video, I presume. So yeah, we selected that order block. And now you can start kind of putting limit orders, right? So these are limit orders you can pick in the market. So you can either choose the top of the order block or middle of the order block. You can also choose to do market orders, in which you wait for price to kind of, you put alerts and you wait for price to kind of reach this order block, and you manually put your trades, right? I would say usually a limit order is nicer if you're doing the 50%. mark, because this is a, like, you technically just risk half of what you're risking here, right? Since this was at the top and this at the 50% mark. So this is better for limit orders. This is better for market orders, because if this just drops down into this and it doesn't show any signs of strength, if you have a market order here, you're losing double what you're losing here, or a limit order here. You're losing double what you're losing here without being able to really have a conscious gauge of the trade you're taking. So this one is usually the one I would be taking for limit orders, and the one on the left, which is a full at the top of the order block trade, is something I would only be taking as market orders. But that's up to you, what your risk to reward strategy is and how you trade. So here you can see that this trade ended up tapping me in here, right? So it tapped at the top of the order block, but the 50% is not hit here, right? You can see that this trade was never entered. So then again, if that was a limit order and this was limit order, then you would have entered this. And if you market order entered here with the strength, then you were fine too. So essentially you can see that not always do we hit the 50% mark of your order blocks. What I'll do here in a second is, after this trade plays out, you can see that it puts in a new high. So that's kind of with pullback trading, you want to see a new high put in. And you can see here the new high was in fact put in. So now we're going to just see kind of in practice what this looks like here. So we chose this chart. It's a similar chart to the other one, right? You can kind of see how we're in a downtrend. And similarly, this was the last strong, like, lower high that was put in. So we're going to template this as a break of structure, right? So this has broken this downtrend structure and has set in a new high significantly, right? So it's done the same thing here, but this one is a significant one since these were the highs that were broken. Additionally, it's also broken this high. So it's a relatively strong change of character. So we'll just, we'll do 10 for now, since I don't really care here. So you can kind of start selecting an order block here already. So say I please this order block here. It's already tapped. You know what, we'll keep it. So why I'm saying it's already tapped is because technically this order block is invalid because it's already been hit here. So maybe you would want a lower order block, something like this. But we'll see. You can see here you were tapped in at 100%. Right now, this order block was retested, in fact, despite my concern of it already having been tested. So this one would have really tapped you in, but it could have also stopped you out. So this one, the one I just selected, we'll just reselect how it was, right? So this one's at the 100%. If you had entered the 100%, as explained here, the top, then we would have entered this trade. But let's see if it plays out and it taps us in further. No. So that would have been an entry if you chose to enter at the top of the order block with a stop loss right under. And then we're just looking for a new high, right? So just right above here, we're just looking for a new high. Boom. And that's one trade. Right, now let's select a new order block. Right, so I think this is a beautiful little order block. You can see the reason I picked this one here, just to give you a hint of order blocks, is the fact that this is a very clustered price action that hasn't been tested. Even this was an attempt, but it's never actually been properly tested. And this is like a very proper cluster, right? It's a thick area that is likely to get tested. So we just play it out, and there you go, right? So in this case, I believe you could have either entered again at the top, but with this one, now this is a rough sketch, but you can either also have entered here right at the halfway mark, and then you can target new highs on both of these trades, right? So you can kind of choose your pick. You can see here a risk to reward ratio is 5.44 and here's 9.79. So it's about it's about double the risk to reward if you choose to enter the 50%. Now again, we wouldn't have entered this trade. Oops. Just to make sure we're still So if you had entered at the 50% mark rather than at the top of the order block, then we would have never entered this trade, right? So you kind of miss more trades with this, but your risk reward is double. So if this were to just drop right now, you'd lose double your money here comparatively to here, or you can risk double here compared to there. So yeah, we'll continue to play this out and see how this turns out. Very strong, not yet hit. Right, so you can see technically this was probably an overreach in my opinion, because you can see with the other one I'd put it right here. So preferably, maybe for some people not, but I'd be taking profits along the way up. Right here is technically seen a resistance order block that I would have been taking profits at, and then I would have been taking most of my profits here, and then I would let a runner do this, which I think I explain in the thing in a second. So I probably am getting ahead of myself. So we'll just leave this for now and actually go back here. You can see here that I explained to these TP levels are managed manually, but they can also be set as limit orders. So I essentially pick 3 points to take profits and then my final point, right? So I'd be taking profits at multiple resistance levels along the way up. So in this case, if we just go back to here, I would pre-select them before I even enter the trade. And if I mark them out for you, I would say this would be one level at which I'd be taking profits for certain. I would certainly be taking profits here. And I think I would take one early profits on this one, just because the trend is still downwards. I really do like this chart though, in hindsight. Now looking at it, kind of looks like a head and shoulders inversed. There isn't much many other levels that I'd be too interested in taking profits, because most of this is just once we beat these levels, you're just up in here. So I think I would only pick 2. So these 2, and then the final TP would be up here. So then if you play it out, I would be taking profits right here, and then I would probably have taken most of my profits right here. I finished the trade off because this seems disgusting. Okay. So that's kind of how you pick multiple points. Again, if we select the order block, I would select this order block right here to have a third trade immediately coming in. So we would enter at the top. Why do I pick this? Last significant down move before the real up move. You could say this is a nice cluster also as an order block. So if we were to go back and I try to be unbiased about it, where would I pick an order block? No, I certainly would have actually looked here, and then secondarily I would have looked here. Usually I would not have limit orders myself. I don't really place limit. I just place alerts and then I mark it and enter. And if I do place limit orders, they are at extreme levels like this one. When it's something like this, I usually do not place limit orders. Another reason why I'd rather not have this as my order block as an entry, why I immediately kind of gravitate towards this one, is because sure, we have this cluster here, but we retested it once, we went all the way up and retested it again. So it's mitigated as fuck, right? So it's really been tested already. This order block is therefore relatively irrelevant. So, but order block course comes later. Keep an eye out for it. It's going to be in the Telegram group for free for anybody in there. So make sure you join that down below. Yeah, so make sure you're in that, because that's where the things get released constantly for free for everybody that is in the Telegram group. So, okay, so this is why I would pick this order block over that one, essentially. You could pick this one. I just don't really like it. So we're just going to say I wouldn't have picked that one. My trading strategy, again, just to pause this real quick, is very risk averse. I don't need to be in trades the whole time. I just want to be in the best trades possible. Okay, excuse me. So we're back. So yeah, that's essentially the trade. Let's play this out, and you can see that if we had entered the top of the trade, we'd be right here. Stop loss right under that order block. And then the 50% mark, again, you can use something like a Fibonacci sequence and kind of see that 50% mark on there. I don't even think I have it marked. Oh yeah, here it is, and that would be right here. Right, so right there and right there, just to be very specific about it. And then the 50 would be right there. So I think we would have been tapped in on that, right? So that would have been just a tap in, and the 100% is obviously a tap in, right? So that's just to be super specific about it, to show you, like, if you want to use the fib retracement, you can. And then you can also, in this one at least, you would have been tapped in as of currently. So, right, and there we would have been stopped out of this one, right? Now, here's the question. You get stopped out of this one, would I re-enter? Yes, I would have re-entered this one. Just because despite being limit order entered on both of these, or this one and market order here, I would have seen the strength here and said, hey, this is just going to keep going. It's just a stop loss hunt. So, but again, so there is stop outs, and there is sometimes, like with that 50% mark down here, that you only got entered here. So there is imperfections, but again, you only entered the best trades. Let's continue on and see. Right, so this would have been a perfect moment to re-enter the trade or add to your trade, since you can see that this technically seen has never, this entire, if you want to select a big order block, had never been tested on the higher time frame. So if you go onto the daily, or you go onto the 12-hour and the 4-hour, you're going to see, let's see if I can switch to the 4-hour. You can see that this would have been an order block, maybe like this, that I would have selected, that you could have been tapped into and said, hey, this was going to run without me, and here I can add to my position if you didn't add here, or just, hey, I'm just going to get a position on the 4-hour as a pullback trade. So, and you kind of target, of course, from down here. If you had entered here again, right, if you had entered this one, or you'd entered this one, whichever you enter, I would have entered here just because I saw strength, and this order block could have been also drawn larger. You could have said this was your order block, right? So that's preference. I draw my order blocks with like the most probable areas, which is just going to be the candle, not the wick. But that's usually how I draw it. It's very variable. It's very eye based, right? Intuition based, how I draw mine. But that's why I'm creating the order block video, so we don't have to go over it in too much depth here. Again, you'd be targeting highs, right? So if you enter here, you'd be targeting right above here. I'd be targeting about the 6.3 level. Delete this out, right? And then, so suppose we weren't stopped out, right? Suppose we re-entered here or re-entered here. Then I would have put a TP right there. I would put a TP right here. I probably would have selected one more area. Let's make sure this isn't too cluttered. Let's say we just entered, we re-entered this. This is a tough one. These are probably the main two areas, and I maybe would have taken the rest of the profit right up here in this top area, and then the final above. That's about it. So we know how this plays out. It retests this order block. You could have added to your position here if you took this position. Okay, so this is where I would say, hey, look, another opportunity right here. To do a pullback trade, right? And then again, maybe I'd select the whole thing on this one, and you would have been tapped in on the 50%. You would have been tapped in on the top, and we would have TPs right here, and you'd have a TP in this order block right here, and then the top order block. So that would be up here. I would also do one, and then ultimately, of course, you have your long position right under this, and you would target these right above the highs. and you would have been tapped into that one. Now you can kind of go on to the next. Right, you can also leave a runner. That's explained in the course as well. So we're just gonna like finish this one last example. See if we get a pullback into this one. So this one keeps running. This one keeps running. This one keeps running. Boom, and you would have been tapped in. Let's see if you selected this order block how I did it. You can also do this, and then you would have been still in this position. Otherwise, you would have been, if you did what I did here, you would have been wicked out on the entry. So if you had a limit order, you would have entered and you would have stop loss right under here, and you would have been stopped out right away. Now, maybe you select your order blocks like this. I would have been stopped out of this, and that's that, right? I just would have been stopped out. But I would still think this is valid. Reason B, that even though this order block has been mitigated and has been stopped out, this is such a wick that I really do not pay attention to. It's unfortunate for the loss you took, but we'd still be looking, and this would be kind of over. Now there's a big change of character, right? So then this entire example is kind of gone. You could say this is unmitigated in the long run. So what you could say is, look, this is technically seen an unmitigated order block. We are still in a relatively strong uptrend, lower time frame downtrend over here. But maybe if you enter here, you can see, so this is a break of structure. So maybe if you enter here and have a limit order here to try to catch this uptrend one last time, there is a chance for it. Right, so maybe there's a chance for it. So you're tapped in here, and you're tapped into the 50% trade. So you're tapped into both. Just to make sure we see that. Tapped into both. And then just to make sure you guys see how I would pick them. So the profit zone. So again, this would be, I wouldn't even target a new high here, to be fair, but we're going to pretend that I will for the sake of this video. Right here. I would say right here. I'd say definitely here. I would say I would take 4 on this one. I'd probably take a profit right there. So let's see. Okay, didn't hit. And that came all the way back down and crashed. So this one was just not hit. At this point, maybe I would look at like a thing like a double top up here, and I would have taken some extra profits. And additionally, I usually trill, so this would have been the moment that I have exited everything. Maybe I would have tried to look for a trade here, but not when there's a waterfall like this. Either way, so you can kind of see the nuance of the situation. And then ultimately it's broken. Now I wouldn't be looking for longs at all. If anything, I would be doing order blocks short, right? So I just remove all this. I would start looking for a break of structure here, essentially to see this come back here and do the same thing. Whoops, and do the same thing we've been doing. This is not drawing on this order block short. We can see if this works out just for the fun of it. Let's see, not even, doesn't even come back and test it. And you can do it here. This would have been a nice order block, maybe up here, and you would have entered that as a short. And again, you can do it again here, see if that gets tested, and you can kind of see where you have order blocks. Let's see, tapped in. I would make sure that here, if I was doing market orders, this wouldn't have been a problem on any of these trades, wicks, right? Because you enter manually, and you would have entered, and you would have been short, and you would have taken your profits, right? So this would have been the short. You would have entered here with the market order, and then right above here, and you would have taken a nice profit. So yeah, that's kind of how you can do pullback trading on these. Let's finish up the course. You've now had an in-practice example of what we've kind of seen so far. So again, right, you can see here after this high, and we've put in a new high. That's essentially right here. Took all the profits. Indicate by TP, we identify a new order receiver. So we're looking for a new order block again, just like we've just done. New order block found down here, which is which one is that? That is this, I believe. Right. So we select that order block, and you put your orders in. Ultimately, you can see here that we didn't tap that one in. Right. So this is another example of not being tapped in, even at the 100% mark. We didn't get tapped in, so we select a new order block. As you can see, this was untapped, so we select a new order block, which is this order block right here. Put a top of order. We did put in a new high, so you can see that that's super unfortunate, since we put in this high, which is here, came back down to our order block drawn in the previous slide, where we didn't get tapped in, and we did put in a new high. Right, so that would have been an unfortunate trade to lose, since even as a top of order block order, you didn't get tapped in. But again, we just select a new one and rinse and repeat, put in your order. Ultimately, you can see we crashed from that point all the way down, got tapped into our 100% or top of order block, and our 50% was untested, and we put in the new high with, of course, TPs that weren't drawn out, right? But essentially, you'd have a TP maybe right here, you'd have one right here, and you'd have one right here, and then your final one. All hit. Then we can rinse and repeat. I would, right now in foresight, I would say this is a beautiful order block with the gap down, filled, yet this is completely unmitigated. So I would say this is a beautiful order block to draw out. And you can see that I do in the next slide. And I wait for these positions to get filled, whether you choose 50%, 100%, maybe you do both. I do not know. So either of these risk reward ratios or type of entries. And you can see that we get tapped into both, whichever one you chose. And again, right, we can put TPs. We can say, hey, look, I want to put a TP here. I would have chosen this little order block as one TP. I would have chosen this order block as another TP. And this one is my third, and then my final take profit. And you can see that we halted here for a bit. That's TP1. We blow straight past TP2, and at TP3 you can see we actually struggled quite a bit, which is if we had broken this low, I would have taken all my profits, but you can see that we did not, and we actually just continued up and hit my final take profits. Here's a short explanation of limit orders versus market orders, when to pick which one, etc. in your order blocks. Limit orders, as I've explained before, I'm not going to read it out. You can kind of give it a read, pause, and do that. So why market orders? Here's a perfect example of it. Market orders give you the power to essentially pick when to enter a trade, rather than limit orders that automatically enter a trade whether you like it or not. Now, I pick market orders personally most of the time because you actually have that power, right? You can see, like, on the lower time frame, you can zoom in and see that you're having this downtrend, that here is the last previous high, or lower high, essentially, from this high, lower high. You could say lower high, and then a break of structure from this lower high, which is a significant one. This is an even more significant one, but you can see we broke it, retested it, and on the lower time frame, there's also pullback trading happening here. You can see that, right? So this is an order block, retest it, retest this order block, and we rip. So that's essentially it. You can see confirmations, as explained here, a downtrend, a change of character on the lower time frame, technically seen an order block, and we enter on this order block down here, and we kind of rip. So here's a video. I'm going to link this all below, where I do a case study of this trade that I've been going over. And yeah, so essentially you can join the team, you can join everything that we're doing here by getting the Telegram access. We have a newsletter sign up down below as well, and then additionally we have the full trading course, where you get access to everything, right? Including trade ideas. Sometimes I post trade ideas in my Telegram. You get the full experience, really, if you just join the Telegram and newsletter, where I have market insights, from macro market insights to trade insights. Well, thank you guys for watching. I hope this is as well received as the course was itself. Let's see. Let's hope so. And as one last note, again, join everything, join the team. Visit me on Twitter, where I do post a lot of things about trading and even more stuff about just success and success in trading, of course. One last thing, disclosure. Everything we do at Boomish Capital is completely solely for information and entertainment purposes. We are not financial advisors to any degree. And you should make your investment decisions yourself or with a financial advisor. I will not be giving any financial advice whatsoever.